Modern Paris. The fire at Notre Dame has unleashed an eerie force and awakened the ghost of Victor Hugo's novel. Dr. Molendino, a jaded psychologist with a penchant for the occult, finds himself ejected from the clinical community for publishing controversial articles on the subject of past lives. To his colleagues, he is a heretic who compromises the prestige of the clinic. After losing his job, he immerses himself in private practice and research. Among his patients is Thomas Dimanche, a young journalist who suffers from dysmorphophobia and, despite being handsome, considers himself hideous, avoiding human contact. Thomas makes a living by hosting a radio show called Parisian Toll, a criminal review where he often features one of the city's most gruesome crimes, the murder of an indie performer, Agnès Guibertot. The teenage girl was found strangled in the basement of an underground nightclub aptly called Montfaucon. With help from an experimental drug, the doctor and his patient dive into a hallucinatory world where the deformed bell ringer and his arrogant master rival for the heart of the gypsy dancer. Will they stop in time, or will they repeat the fate of Hugo's characters? Okay, so, I'm hugely fond of Victor Hugo's novels. The original Hunchback of Notre Dame is, it's pretty fantastic. And it is absolutely nothing like the Disney version. I mean, it really isn't at all. It's much more psychological and in-depth, and it's Victor Hugo. He's not the nicest guy to his characters, just saying. Really good writer, although some of his architectural digressions are really bizarre, but he's not always the nicest to his characters. So when I read this story that was a new take on Victor Hugo's novels, I got very, very excited. And I was proven right. It was a very good book. Oh man. Okay, I like psychological dramas and thrillers, and I like things that sort of twist expectations and take something that is familiar and make it into something new and different. It's just one of the most entertaining things for me. I mean, yeah, it's really, really fun. So anyways, in this book we have a psychologist who is ousted from his clinic because he doesn't really follow the general psychological principles. He's more of a okay, I know the word, parapsychologist. You know how they have like parascience with things like alternate realities and temporal shift and stuff like that. This is kind of like that, except psychology. So he believes in things like reincarnation and dealing with things from past events that kind of unfold in modern times, and that gets him into trouble. So as far as main characters go, he's not a standard main character. First off, Molendino in the scope of Victor Hugo's world takes the place of Claude Frollo, who is kind of like the bad guy. In this book, he's not the villain, but he is often cast as the villain, and even in Victor Hugo's book, he's often like takes on the archetype of villain to the other characters. And the reason why, I think, is because of his particular psychological makeup, which is more towards the antisocial side of the spectrum than otherwise. I find him fascinating because I don't often get to read characters like him from inside their head, and this is a first-person perspective book, so you get to see a lot of the things that are going on inside his head, and it's just fascinating, and I love it. And the other characters as well, they play this kind of dance between what's happening in the present and what's happening in the past, and everyone has their own particular psychological quirk. And it's fascinating because it superimposes what you expect of the characters from Victor Hugo's novel with what you would expect of characters that have that particular psychological quirk, and it's I really enjoyed it. Yeah, the ending for this book was not at all what I expected. Oh my goodness. Wow. I mean, okay, there's a certain amount of expectation there because I have read The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and the ending from that is rather, yep. And so there is some of that, but But then the bit afterwards, the very, very ending, oh man, I was not expecting that at all, but it works perfectly, and I'm so very like interested in how it came about because I wasn't expecting it, and it's just yeah, okay. I liked this book quite a lot. It's very interesting. It's not your standard psychological thriller. It is not, well, it's not a fantasy novel, except in the fact that it deals with things like past lives and reincarnation and whatnot. But it's yeah, I loved this book. It's very interesting. My only critique has absolutely nothing to do with my thoughts, but just objectively speaking, if you are not at all familiar with the original Victor Hugo, a lot of this stuff is going to go right over your head. That's just, you have to be fully aware of the original Victor Hugo and the characters and how they play out their roles within that story. And if you aren't, you're gonna miss a fair bit. And if that's okay, and you want to find out kind of what's going on anyways, based on knowledge of, say, you know, a movie or a play or whatever, then you can still follow along. The characters explain themselves fully and you can focus more on the psychology aspects of it. But then if you don't have I guess, enough knowledge of psychological quirks, again, you're gonna kind of miss something. So you do have to be aware of these other things that are going on. But if you are, I really recommend this book. It is absolutely great. Anyways, that's all I've got for you for this week. You can find all the links for this in the description box below, as well as an interview I did with the author a while back there, which should be very exciting. So, yes, you can find my links there too. This series is now complete in ebook form. I'm still waiting on the paperback and the hardback. It's like this close. It's just going through the system. Such as technology. But this trilogy is now complete. You can find all the links for that down below as well. And if you have any questions or comments, or you want to talk about Victor Hugo, then just let me know. I am around pretty much all the time, and that's all I've got for you today. Alrighty, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I shall see you next time.